Once upon a time there lived a jolly widow woman whose business was minding babies and tending sick people. She was good and kind, and her cures had become known across the land. At each day's end, she was content to know she'd helped the neighbours with her caring. One dark night, at the stroke of midnight, she was woken by a pounding on the door. There stood the strangest man she'd ever seen. He was beckoning her to come with him as his wife was sick and they needed someone to mind their baby. At first she refused because she was very frightened, but thinking of the child, agreed to go with him. He put her on the back of his horse and they rode off into the night. The woman tried to control her fear as they left the village far behind. All night they rode, until at dawn they came to a little cottage in a clearing in the woods. The strange man's family were waiting in a damp, dark room. His poor wife passed the widow some special ointment to rub on the baby's eyes. The widow thought this a strange request, for the baby seemed quite fit and well. But she did as she was told. Curious to know what the ointment did, she decided to try it on herself. But the moment it touched her eye, it was a fairy cottage. The ointment revealed things as they really were. Fearing a spell might be put on her, she pretended nothing had happened. Soon all was well. The strange little man paid her generously and took the widow home. The next day was market day in the village. As she had some money in her pocket, the woman went out to stock up on food for the house and hear the news from her friends and neighbours. It was a day the whole village looked forward to. The wandering tinker would arrive and set up his stall. People from all around would bring their vegetables to sell, and the baker would bake extra bread and sticky buns. The children played and ran round the market excitedly until the puppet show began. Everyone enjoyed market day. But who was this? It was the strange little man, stealing from all the stalls. The widow was puzzled. Why didn't someone stop him? He was invisible to everyone. Only she could see him because of the fairy ointment. She asked after his wife and children. The man was shocked. She could see him. But of course she could. Oh, can you? Yes, she could, as clear as day. With that, he blew some magic dust into her eyes. Where had he gone? And then she noticed something strange at the bread stall. A loaf of bread moving on its own. Of course, he must still be there, but now he was invisible to her as well. The dust he'd blown into her eyes had stopped her seeing into the fairy world, and she never saw another fairy again from that day to this.